Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Windows. My name is Ahmed Nader, and tonight we'll be focusing on the 48th anniversary of the October War victory, which took place on the 6th of October in 1973 against Israel. And it was not just a battle of military prowess of Egypt against Israel, but the battle of development that took place in the decades to follow, in the 48 years that followed the military victory against Israel. And tonight we'll be focusing on the progress and development in the field of education in specific. What happened and what will be happening in the upcoming years for the students, for the children that are continuing the educational process in the country under the leadership of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, of course, and the Minister of Education, Dr. Tariq Shawqi, and how to be linking the spirit of October, the soul of October, of being courageous, of being clever, intelligent and patriotic for the children and for the students of Egypt nowadays. And to be focusing on this important field and sector, I am honored to be having with me on Windows today Mr. Ibrahim at Tahawy, the educational expert and the United Nations counselor at the Training and Development Committee. Thank you very much for being with us tonight on Windows.
It's a pleasure to be with you. Thank you.
The pleasure is all mine. First of all, the importance of the October War victory and how to be transmitting the soul, the spirit of the soldiers at the October War victory to the children of nowadays, to the students of nowadays.
First of all, I'd like to send my congratulations to all the Egyptian citizens and people, and to the president himself, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, and to the ex-president Anwar al-Sadat. Okay, not because I'm from Menofia, but in fact, no one will forget Anwar al-Sadat. Because in fact, I talked many times with my students about President Anwar al-Sadat and how we have here many messages to not only to the students, but to all the educational experts. Okay, because I'm in the field. So if we wanted to talk about the link, I'd like to thank you, because the title of this episode is very, very important to make a link between, mix and match between October War and the educational process. Why? Because here, many times before, I allowed my students, and we took a group of students to, for example, to make an interview or open forum or an interview or a discussion or a conversation with one of the or many generals of October War who actually attended October War. Why? You may ask me why. Because here I wanted, in my point of view, to see my students, to see these great persons, great men and women. We have a great novel called Great Men and Women. Okay, we are talking about worldwide characters. So in my point of view, I said, and I told myself, I asked my questions, why don't we teach our students great men and women in Egypt? We have great men and women, in fact. Okay, so related to October War, we have great generals who attended this war, and in fact, in my point of view, we had to let the students the permission and the allowance, the chance to meet these generals, to listen from them, to learn from them, to know how they suffered, how they were patient, how did they manage to succeed in October War. October War, Mr. Ahmed, like to tell all the audience in front of me and to tell all the people and educational system or learners or teachers or principals and managers, the first lesson of October War is patience, believing in Allah. Targets you should have to put in front of you as a teacher, firstly, and my message here to all teachers in front of me. Are you having a certain goal? Are you having a message? And we are at the beginning of, October War is the beginning of school year. So my first message taken from October War, please try to put a target in front of you. As a teacher, you have to put a plan, strategic plan, which was made by President Anwar al-Sadat. I hope all teachers to put that in their mind, to put a strategic plan, not a strategic plan or educational plan, for the benefit of your students. To try to teach your students at the first session, on the first day, and this is a second message, on the first day, try to let them participate in the broadcast, okay, daily, in the morning, to let or characterize or specialize this day for what? for October War. And many schools, I think, we are going to do something like that.
And this will take place, I think, on the 9th of October, on Saturday?
Yeah,
Yes.
9th and 10th. Some school, language school, will start 10th and 9th, inshallah, next Saturday.
Yes.
So I hope all teachers, all principals, all directorates to give orders to the principals and the managers to talk or specialize the first day for October War. Why October War? Because here we have many messages for this generation. This generation, Mr. Ahmed, which lack many things. Sometimes I say that on my responsibility.
Yes.
Lack the leadership, lack the model, great model and important model. If we didn't take the model from the people and the great men and generals of October, from whom we are going to take the model.
Yes.
Okay, nothing will happen except social media and some singers, famous singers, you know. Okay, this is a fact. But we have, it's our responsibility as educators, okay, who are concerning in the educational field to teach our students what did or how did Anwar Sadat manage to succeed. By what? Because he was characterized by leadership. How to teach the characteristics of leadership by its title, its great title, okay? And all the time we differentiate between a leader and the manager.
Yes.
This is another message to all the managers and the principals of a school. Are you only a manager or a leader? If you are a leader, you are going to say we, not I. If you are a leader like President Anwar Sadat, we are going to work as a teamwork for a school. If you are a leader as a teacher, you are going to teach your students how to work in pairs, how to work in groups, group work and pair work. This is what we call centered class, not centered teacher, which Dr. Tariq Shawqi, the Minister of Education, and many times when we met with him and we talked with him, in fact, he wanted to focus on this point of view and to catch the Japanese, this Japanese project and the STEM schools. Many times in my trainings I said that the secret of success, how to change from traditional teaching to what? Centered teaching. Centered teaching means that you let your students to lead themselves. So leadership is one of the important messages from October War. From October War.
Yes.
Leadership, Mr. Ahmed. How to teach our students to be leaders. How to teach our teachers to be leaders, great leaders, and also the principals. Patience, one of the very, very important messages of October War. How our soldiers managed to cross Suez Canal to this line of Parlif, which was impossibility for all the world to pass.
Yes.
But we passed. We managed to pass by patience. After that, reliability. How to make our students rely on themselves. Self-confidence, Mr. Ahmed, is very, very important to my students and all teachers who are forming us. Self-confidence, because I saying that because some teacher is their responsibility to make their students to have confidence, to be confident in themselves. Okay, it's very, very important. In fact, we have great messages from October where we have, it's due time to apply them, especially you are at the beginning of the school year. So I hope my message is to be sent to teachers and all people who are concerned of the education system to apply actually at school.
Yes, Mr. Ibrahim, you said that one of the techniques of conveying the messages of the October War was for the teachers to be setting up meetings between the children or the students and the generals of the October War victory. What were the main messages that were conveyed between both sides, between the children and the generals, and the important stories that were told by the generals and the commanders of the October War victory to the children?
Yeah, I'd like to talk about what actually happened.
Yes.
Once upon a time, Mr. Ahmed, I took a group of students and we actually met one of the generals, and he began to narrate what? Not a story. He began to narrate what actually happened to him in Kabrit battle. And for the first time, my students to know about Kabrit battle. It was before October War, to attract the attention of the enemy to take them to another side. Why? To take what? To give the allowance and the chance for the rest of the soldiers to pass the Suez Canal. It was, this is a great target, a great aim, in fact. Here we had a lesson. After that, I wrote, in fact, okay, I wrote after him, I recorded, I headlines, I highlighted many important headlines from him. After that, I asked my students, what did you learn from this general? we learned so and so and so and so. Okay, while talking, I underline why, because I want them to have critical thinking, and this Dr. Tariq Shawi wants. Okay,
Yes.
and I give many training sessions for teachers in many sectors in Cairo Directorate. Okay, and I'd like here to thank Dr. Muhammad Atiyah,
Yes.
okay, the general manager of the Ministry of Education and the Cairo Directorate, because in fact many seminars and many trainings were held in summer vacation to train teachers how to start the new year. So after writing some headlines of the general, I asked my students, what did he say? What did you learn from him? They are going to express themselves. It's very, very important, and in due time to change between, in the past, most of the teachers prefer to talk all the time, like a parrot, okay?
Yes.
This is what we call center teacher. But to change from center teacher to center learning, to let them discuss themselves, ask them, what did you learn from them? Yes, we learned from this general that October War was a great victory to Egypt. It happened in 1973, that we sacrificed with blood and we sacrificed with many soldiers to return our land. We learned confidence, reliability, patience, and many things. Here you are putting in themselves, in these students, many good characteristics, in fact, because you are building a new generation. So you are responsible, okay, as a teacher for this
Yes.
generation. It's very, very important to exchange information, to exchange experience between the new coming generation and these great men of the Egyptian leaders who, in fact, managed to take us from darkness to light.
Yes,
For
speaking
October War.
of this transition from darkness to light in the educational process under the leadership of the Minister of Education, Dr. Tariq Shawqi, how did you see the latest declarations and decisions made by the Minister, specifically that there is a wave of change that there seems to be some resistance to now?
Yeah, I'd like first of all to appreciate the great efforts made by Dr. Tariq Shawi. Although some citizens, some parents criticize all the time.
Yes.
And you know that most of the Egyptians used to criticize, okay, used to condemn the
Yes.
Minister of Education. As if, I'd like to say that the Minister of Education, he is a person like me and you. He doesn't have a magic wand or magic stick to change everything around him. Putting in our mind that we are suffering from coronavirus and the pandemic, it was very critical situation in front of him. So what happened? First, let's specifically talk about in primary stage. I'd like to appreciate the great efforts here in primary stage. Why? For example, let's talk about my son Omar. He is fourth primary, and you know that fourth primary, or many parents talked about, no, there is a Connect and the Connect Plus, it's very difficult for this. No, I'd like to say, when I watched, when I began to surf pages and I found great change. Why? He wants the students, and this is my responsibility, I'm talking about fourth primary, and my son, whom I actually studied with, and so he gave him, for example, a model of a governorate, Almenia governorate. Okay, here we have what kind of agriculture, lands, how many people, and so on. In the other page, he wants him as a student to search, okay, and surf the internet about another governorate. So he gave him what? The allowance and the chance to search. We here create a small researcher.
Yes.
Something I made many years before, and I thank Allah because now it's actually happening on the fields. Okay, actually happening. So here, when you create a great generation who is able and capable of searching, after that he will get what? Much information. In the past, Mr. Ahmed, when we wanted to search for information, we have nothing except what? Books and libraries. This took much time, in fact. Okay, and effort.
Yes.
But now you can search in a minute about what? About information. And here it's my message for those teachers. Please, some teachers will skip this page. Searching at home. No, please. It's very, very important. In class, we all have mobiles. Let your students to search, or multimedia to search, and let him speak in front, make group work, spokesmen, and let him speak, let your students speak, express themselves. It's very, very important. And search the internet to find the information, to get the information himself. By this way, we are going to create a new creative generation. Believe me. This is related to primary stage. You may ask me about the secondary stage. Secondary stage, I'd like to thank him for the great change which happened. But in fact, tablets, and bubble sheet, in fact, we have some problems of internet, and to apply online exams, I wrote an article before in 2013. I was lucky as a teacher to write this article, imagining that we have to change from traditional paper exam to electronic one. Why, Mr. Ahmed? Because I see, in fact, during correction in prep stage and Tahawy Amma, that my son doesn't take his right. Okay, because we have to finish a lot of or many papers in what? In a day for sometimes. So no one takes his right. So I'd like to say, Dr. Tahawy Shawi, this is my message to you. I said it many times in many articles, and I hope to be applied actually. My message is to make a center for exam center, okay, in every directorate. For Tahawy Amma, let's start by Tahawy Amma. I here mean not tablet or online, but center for exams, be observed by what? By cameras, and by observers, and linked with the Minister of Education. And to send the CD of exam, we will have many copies of exam, not one only, okay? Yes. And we will classify A, B, C, D. We will examine it in Cambridge University, okay, by this way. So no one will cheat, or will have the chance to cheat from his classmates, okay,
different models,
or from his colleague. That's right, different models. In the same time here, it will be like choices, okay, but not online, electronic one, not online one. In the same time, bubble sheet, Dr. Tahawy Shawi, on my responsibility, this is a great chance for the student to cheat, because I observed that 4, 3, 2, 1, okay, they are going to cheat bubble sheet, A, B, C, D. It's very easy for what? For the students to cheat. So this was the secret, or the main reason which made some weak students previous year to get what? High marks, and some superior and pioneer students get low marks. Do you understand? So we have to think, Dr. Tahawy Shawi, of this point.
Speaking of the October War victory, it is always mentioned as a military victory against Israel, but there's a war of development, there is progress ever since the October War in 1973. In the past 48 years or 50 years, there is development in terms of construction, for example, under the tenure of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. But in specific, in the field of education, how do you think things have developed and progressed?
I'd like to say firstly what I said in many trainings before to my teachers. What is the secret of success in teaching process? I asked this question. Are you a creative teacher? No one reply, because we lack creativity. We only still teach by traditional way. Let's confess. Most of the teachers whom I met, okay, using the traditional way. So here President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, when he visited India and China, Malaysia and Japan, he returned and said a message I can't forget, and I said in many trainings and in many sessions. What was the message? He asked in a seminar, in a conference, I was surprised, he is saying, the president himself, because I passed by with a group of men around me, and the students didn't look at us, okay? We are at the president, they had to look at us as what's happening here. When you see the president of Egypt or the president of America, I think you will leave your teacher. To my surprise, the president said, Abdel Fattah says that, to my surprise, that no one of the students, okay, leave his teacher, but they were attracted to their teacher. So I was surprised. What is the secret here? The secret here is attraction. If you attract your students, it's very, very important, in fact. So I'd like to appreciate the great effort, because the president himself specialized 2018 and 19 for education and for health. What happened in this field? In fact, let's say that many schools were built. That's the first step. Yes. In fact, greater change of curriculum happened, okay, to the new, but it is a duty of the teacher. How here I would like to
apply the system.
Yes, this is very, very important. Try not to be traditional. You have to be creative, because as I told you, the Minister of Education alone won't make everything, because he doesn't have the magic wand or magic stick. In the field of education, we have also greater change of curriculum, computers, we have multimedias. Even the governmental sector have multimedias. But what prevents you as a teacher to take a flash memory with you every day? And instead of writing on the board, take a video. You know, some learning styles which we teach. We have to respect learning styles. We have to respect the differentiation or differences between the student and another student. Most of the students, Mr. Ahmed, when they see or watch a video for Macbeth, for Hamlet, for A Tale of Two Cities, or any novel, play, or poetry, I think they want to forget. That's right?
Yes.
So what prevents you to buy a flash memory, okay, 20 pounds or 30 pounds only, to let your students watch from time to time? What prevents you as a teacher to send on WhatsApp, for example, an audio, okay, or by you to explain? Because when the students at home, they will have the time and have the allowance, instead of sitting among 40 or 60 students, sometimes 100 students per class in governmental schools, okay? So how can you expect these students to understand 100%? So when you send and apply distance education, which I applied many years before, to send on WhatsApp and then see what did he do and to follow up, I think this will be great change. So the change won't come only from the Minister of Education or the President. No, from the base of the pyramids, teachers. It's very, very important to focus on this point, because teachers are the base of the pyramids. They are in the field, so by their hands, okay, by the cooperation of the teachers, we are going to develop, we are going to improve, we are going to change.
So we have a strategy by the political leadership to be building new cities, building new schools, building new universities.
Yeah.
We have a new strategy by the Minister of Education to be revolutionizing the educational system in the country. But about the teacher himself or herself, how can we change the way he addresses the students to be preparing the teacher for the new academic year?
Yeah, it's a very, very important question, because all the time I want a creative teacher, a teacher who is thinking of the students as if they were his sons. We have a great play, famous play called We Are All My Sons.
Yes.
All my sons here, I said this title or this topic or this headline for me teacher, because I said if you consider them all students, your sons, everything will be solved. Because your sons, you are going to think before sleeping. Okay,
Yes.
what are you going and how are you going to start the session? What are you going to say? What about going to group them, pair work and the group work? How are you going to let them speak and express themselves? How are you going to invest the situation and the circumstances? How are you going to create a new atmosphere in class? Try to change. Change will come from you if you want to change. But if you don't want to change, believe me, nothing will happen. Nothing will be changed. I said that many times, Mr. Ahmed. One of the sessions, one of the training, in front of me, some teachers who wanted what? A certificate after training to put this certificate in their file. That's right, in HR, in their school, and nothing else. So from here, I'd like to send my message to all teachers and to Dr. Tariq Shawqi, please, we have to apply. We have to change this traditional way. In fact, the Ministry of Education exerted great effort in this field, in training teachers. Summer vacation, we gave many trainings in summer vacation for teachers, not only in language school, but in governmental and experimental schools. What happened? Nothing happened. So ask me, what did you do? After every training, Mr. Ahmed, I didn't leave them. But I insist to make a group on WhatsApp. Why? To follow them, to follow this teacher, and to ask some teachers to exchange experience from each other. Because in fact, I'd like to confess that we have great teachers, okay? So who create, who innovate, and try to develop. By these teachers, I make with the waves. I try to move the waves of the sea, okay? Because some teachers don't want to change. I make a competition, okay? I exchange experience between them, because when they listen to the experience of other teachers, they are going by this way or may change themselves.
Yes, and we will be having a quick break, so stay tuned. Welcome back. You're still watching Windows. As we did see in the past break that there is no chance, Mr. Ibrahim, for surrender. There is no chance to quit for the Egyptian army. The lessons that we have learned from the October War victory and could be passed on to the new generations, what could they be?
Of course, yes. In fact, during this break, this video, it's very, very important how the generals were talking, how the soldiers were moving in the desert, in this sunny atmosphere and weather. How did they manage to cross Suez Canal? And here, Mr. Ahmed, I'd like to say we have many messages through the speech that occurred between yesterday between President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and General Dr. Samir Farag. In fact, in this speech, which I can't forget, we have many messages. In fact, I remember this speech during this break and during Gamal Abdel Nasser, when he's speaking with the soldiers with some kind of enthusiasm, which we need for this generation.
Yes.
If you are enthusiastic, we want to create enthusiastic generation. Listen to the video. I invite all of you to try to watch the video and the speech between President Sisi and the leader, General Dr. Samir Farag, when he was his leader. Okay, and there's a humble way he talked with his leader, how we hear the many characteristics of a leader, the leadership, and its great meaning.
Respect.
Yes, and
Yes.
respectation, okay, between the leader and his president. They are two leaders. The president was once upon a time the follower of the leader.
Yes.
And Dr. Samir Farag now is talking with his president. And he gave him excellent grades. And he is talking why. Why did he give that? And this is a very important message. Because we had a problem at that time. But President al-Sisi solved it per night. In a night, he managed to solve the problem. And he told him that everything is ready. Dr. or General Lieutenant Samir Farag. So he told me that. I was surprised, and this is the first time to tell that in front of the president. I was surprised how come a police officer, a young police officer, police in the army, excuse me, to manage to solve the problem, although it was foggy atmosphere and we had many problems. He solved it in a night. So I said that this army officer will be a great character in the future, and actually he became the president of Egypt, President Fattah al-Sisi. Here we have many messages. I hope all teachers to let their students and their sons listen to the humble way, how they talk with each other, how they respect each other, how the leadership, how the leader to be, and how to create leaders of the future.
And this brings us to the very important role of the armed forces in Egypt in the October War victory in 1973. And the main role of the armed forces was always to be protecting the land, protecting the people of Egypt, to be preserving the safety and security of the country. And we did see this many times throughout the 48 years that passed since the 1973 October War victory, and most recently in 2013, 2014, up till now in fighting terrorism. How would you see the role of the armed forces in different sectors, not just in the military war victories?
In fact, I'd like to say that here, if we wanted to talk about the link between what happened in October War in 1973 and the sector of education, sector of health, and sector of education. In fact, we have, if we want to apply and live in peaceful life and lead a peaceful life, in fact, it's very important not to listen to every rumor on social media. It's very harmful. I wrote an article before, okay, take care of the wars of the fourth generation. I meant here that some rumors on social media, and I gave many examples that some people who are sharing everything, even in the field of education. So if we talked about many sectors, like what's happening, for example, in housing, what's happened from the president himself, and here I hope all the people, all the citizens see what happened before in housing sector, for example, before what and now is what. No one can believe what happened in this sector. And here we have a relation, okay, to all the educators and to the people of education fields. How to plan, how to put a plan and to try to achieve it. Before Tel Arab was what? We have Azbet al-Hagana, we have Manshit Nasser, we have Ghit al-Anab. Before was what? And now has become what? In fact, this is a great challenge. So challenge here and success, and the secret of success, we have to teach to our students. So I hope from this respectable program to make a new curriculum, a small book, how to teach our learners, our students, how to be leaders. And taking many characteristics from October War. If we try to apply that, in fact, we are going to create a new generation. Here, how to solve the problems, how to, if we to teach them in crisis management, for example, how to take quick decision. All this, in fact, in human development are needed in the sector of education from now, from primary stage, pre stage, and second stage, to create a new generation capable of what? Of a change, of a challenging, of thinking out books. It's very, very important to think out books, because if we train this generation to think out books, everything will be solved after that in its as it should be.
A very important point, the age of social media, the rumors that we can see on social media in every direction. How can we be passing on the sense of patriotism and sacrifice from the armed forces, from the spirit of the October War victory to the new generations, despite the social media effect and the rumors that we can see them on it?
Yeah. In one of the episodes, in fact, I was talking with two generals in front of me, and when I watched our soldiers who were sacrificing and passing the Suez Canal, loaded by more than 50 kilograms on their shoulders and passing the barley wine, I said, and I sent my message to the youth who was watching me, saying that, are the youth today are capable of doing something like that? Are they ready to sacrifice for Egypt, their country? Are they ready to do something for? Yes, I hope. And I know that the youth have something in. And what is the proof of that? We have 2011. What happened from youth? In fact, they had a plan. But what happened after that? Some listened to rumors. And the president himself said that. We had some rumors. So don't listen to rumors, because some electronic, people, what we call electronic here, take you to something they need. So here, we have to sacrifice for our country. We have to teach, the role of parents is very, very important, from home, then from school, to teach our students how a sacrifice was in October War, how sacrifice from blood and from police officers who sacrificed their lives for our security. In fact, we need, not only in drama, thanks to the drama, to the many serials and many films made, like the choice of Ikhtiyar. It was a great film, in fact, a series to document. It was a documentary for the new generation to see what happened. Because after that, nothing will be made sometimes. So I hope the parents, father and the mother, I know you are all busy most of the time, busy like a bee, as you say, but try to sit with your son. Ask them, today is 6 October day. We are a holiday today. Do you know Ahmed? Do you know Amr? Do you know Heidi? Why we are a vacation today? Why are we a holiday? Because of October War. What's October War? Who was the president of Egypt at the time? What happened from Anwar Sadat? What happened from Marshal El-Gamassi? I visited the house of Marshal El-Gamassi in Menofia, in Batanoun, Menofia, and I talked with his brother. In fact, it was a great chance. So I asked him a moment that made him happy and another moment that made him angry. He told me I can't forget what happened from Marshal El-Gamassi, one of the leaders of October War, that he was very happy because Anwar al-Sadat took the decision of the war, of fighting the enemy, Israeli enemy. So in fact, these people sacrifice with blood, not sacrificing only by talking with social media. I'd like to invest. What is written on social media? Our youth are great power, great fortune, in fact, but we have to invest in them, Mr. Ahmed.
Yes, they should be redirected towards the good path. Mr. Ibrahim Tahawy, the educational expert and the United Nations counselor at the Training and Development Committee. Thank you very much for being with us tonight on Windows.
I'm really grateful. Thank you.
Yes, and before leaving, would I be asking about the attendance during the times of the coronavirus pandemic, as we did see in the past year or two? Do you think that the parents would like their children to be going to school or staying online?
In fact, let's talk as a parent. I'd like to say Dr. Tariq Shawi is obliged to let primary stage to go to school. Because of what? Because interaction between the students and the teachers. Very, very dangerous stage, primary stage. We can't learn at home. Because of what? Because, you know, children cannot rely on themselves. But I'd like to ask Dr. Tariq Shawi, please, I beg you, as a parent, I hope that to give the allowance or the freedom for prep stage and secondary stage. Why? Not to go to school. Because of what? Pandemic. Okay, not to make chaos at school, not to make a capacity at school, and to let most of the schools for primary stage. Okay, but online, I'd like to thank Dr. Tariq Shawi. Dr. Tariq Shawi exerted great efforts, in fact, and one of the characteristics, and he will be joining history because of what? Online education, which I wrote an article at the beginning, before coronavirus, in 2018, talking about it's due time to apply distance education or online education. Why, Mr. Ahmed? Because online education is the first advantage or pros. I'd like to talk about the pros and the advantages. My son is in front of me. I can see him. I can see her. I can observe his level. I can see the interaction between him and his what? And his teacher. Okay? Now I'm free from traveling. My son sometimes have travel. Takes 1 hour going to the school and returning back. Sometimes he spends 8 sessions at school and it takes only 2 sessions. Okay? And what about the rest? Activities. What about activities? So it's a waste of time. So primary stages, okay, but prep and secondary, I hope that Dr. Tariq Shawi, after a month or after 2 weeks or 3 weeks, to give the allowance of absence attendees to make it for free. Why? Because here we are going to measure is online education is vital or not. I'd like to say, which applied actually previous year, it was successful. Why? Because I took with my students, give them in a session of 40 minutes, it's like the session, okay? But they are sitting at home in quietness. He is drinking tea, for example. There is no kind of corruption or quarreling between students, okay, or no noisy atmosphere. They are sitting in quietness, listening, concentrating, in fact, watching me and watching them, because I'm answering those who, there is no interaction in online, no. There is some kind of interaction. One of the also advantages that I can search Google directly, but in class I use only the board and the marker, that's right? But I can search Google to find, for example, science teacher, if I were science teacher, to let them see the galaxy. I'm talking about prep stage, and when they watch, they won't forget. So I'd like to say that the attendance, it's very, very important for primary stage, but I hope for prep and secondary to get them the chance to mix and match between face-to-face education and online education.
Yes, Mr. Ibrahim Tahawy, thank you very much for being with us on Windows tonight once again.
Many thanks. I'm really grateful. Thank you, Mr. Ahmed.
Anytime. And this brings us to the end of Windows for this week. Thank you for watching and goodbye.